Yeah, so I think the biggest shift is that people are never the concept of working in a cube, working in an office is all the time is something that I don't think is ever going to be the future ever again. Granted, I mean I've worked from home for 5 years now. I do miss the interaction, the creative collaboration that still can only happen face to face. I mean I've done stuff, don't get me wrong, remotely, but there's something about being in a room, whiteboarding, and just bouncing off of people. But at the same time, I think the work shifting concept of I can work wherever I have an internet connection is a powerful one because I'm waiting to board a plane, I'm working, I'm sitting here, I'm working. The problem is trying to turn it off. That's one of the big things, is realizing you have to unplug, and it is okay. And I think there's a dangerous thing happening right now in the workforce where people are scared to unplug because they're gonna miss something, or oh my god, I have to be always plugged in. And my always thing is, listen, I've always got my phone with me. I'm only a text message or a phone call away, but I will turn off email and social everything and just ignore it for a while, because I know if someone really truly has to get a hold of me, they can. And I'm seeing that a lot. I mean, my wife works for a hospital, and I'm seeing that with her. This weekend we went out kayaking, but she had her pager with her because she knew we weren't that far away from civilization, but we could unplug for a while, and if something really broke, they could get a hold of her. And I think that's the biggest balancing act in work right now, because employers have to realize that yes, people are connected all the time, and it's not a 9 to 5 world anymore. Very few people punch a clock. Well, I mean, very few people in our space, I will say. There is a whole blue collar world that works their asses off harder than we ever will, and at a whole different level. But employers need to realize that yes, their employees are working way outside of the normal 9 to 5 hours, but at the same time realize that, you know what? If they take an hour or 2 hours to go to a doctor's appointment in the middle of the day or go to the gym or something, that it all evens out in the end if they're getting their work done. Don't focus on the 9 to 5 is the hours and then expect they can always extend it, but never. Yeah, that's always bothered me, and I think you're going to see that change as more of these millennials and Gen Y, whatever gen you want to call these acronyms, as they start getting into positions of management. They're going to manage their employees the way they want to be managed, and giving reviews on a regular basis. The once a year thing has always bothered me because I'd rather give good and bad right away. So I hope you see a shift like that. And unfortunately, I think there is a lot of these people who are in power positions who are stuck in the old ways, and they don't. They're like, well, no, it's always worked this way. Well, no, it doesn't. Your employees are different these days. And I mean, God, it was, 10 years ago now, 9 years ago. I don't even remember when it was. I remember fighting when I was in my first management position, letting one of my web coders have, work remote 1 day a week. But she was a coder, and I fought, and I got all kinds of trouble for it. And that was then, and I know those fights are still going on today. But I think I'd like to think it's starting to shift and change, and it is, because more and more of us are doing stuff like this. You don't have to be physically there all the time. The whole world of working is completely changing. It is truly global. Anybody can live anywhere. You see companies dispersed all the time. I mean, I ran my agency with my business partner in New Jersey and me here in Boston, and we didn't get face to face that often, and it worked because of these tools that things like Skype and iChat and everything being in the cloud made it possible. It could, even 5 years ago, it would have been harder, but now you can do it. 5 years from now, 5 years from now, commuting will be extremely rare. I think people that are in a position to commute most of the. And we are not talking about blue collar jobs here for the most part. I always preface that. I mean, I think. There are people who are going to punch a clock and work a factory and work a line and that's very different. What we're talking about, I don't think commuting will be as much. I think because of environmental reasons and quality of life reasons, people are going to not want to do it. They're going to want to work this way much more. They're going to sit down to a device that is going to have permanent internet connection, is going to have cellular technology, is going to have built-in video, whether that's a tablet or a laptop, we'll see what happens. But it's going to be a device. They're going to be able to sit down and do everything. The concept of having to have a desk, I think, is going to go away. I'm still used to, I sit at this desk and I work at home, and 95% of the time, I sit at my desk to do the work, and I don't know why. I have all the devices. I can work any room in the house. And I think you're going to see that. People are going to be working wherever. I also think they are truly going to be global because while a lot of companies are global, I still think that they're very siloed. I think 5 years from now, your boss, you may never meet your boss face to face. They may be in another country, or vice versa. The people you're managing could be all over the world and spread out because geography is not going to matter as much. And I think what else? I was trying to think of some like big shocking, like, oh my God, did he say that? I think I'd like to see. Part of me thinks, I'd love to see a lot more smaller teams doing stuff. So it's not like the big CMO and then everybody reports underneath him or her. I think you're gonna see. I'd like to see lots of very powerful, empowered teams to do things. God, I hope that happens. But I know hierarchies and those sort of things won't. But I think as the world lightens up, I hope, and we get more, more ethnic CEOs and more female CEOs and more young CEOs and old more diverse, where it's not just the old white guy club at the top of most companies. And I know that's changing, but I think the more diverse everything gets, the better things are going to be. I mean, that goes for life, and this is a whole different conversation, but I think we're going to see much more diversity, and I think that helps everybody. I hope.